The most frequently asked question by visitors to our museum is, what year did the first 10 blocks get washed away? There is no short answer to that question. The United States Geodetic Society made a map of our island in 1841. It showed the island ended at the time where we are standing today at 23rd Avenue. Between us and Ocean City was the New Inlet, Sand Island, and the Great Egg Harbor Inlet. In the next 10 years, drifting sand extended the tip of Absecon Island down to 16th Street. Drifting sand from Atlantic City had begun to fill in the New Inlet by the 1870s. By 1882, Absecon Island and Sand Island were completely attached. This third map shows the land that Mr. McCullough bought in 1882 to develop his summer community. Little did he know that most of the land he had bought had not existed only 30 years before. And the first thing he did was to flatten the protective sand dunes so the buyers could see both the ocean and the bay from their new homes. Unfortunately, between 1900 through 1920, Absecon Island was hit by a series of severe and violent winter nor'easters, which slowly chopped away the first 10 blocks of Longport. Above is an aerial map of what was left of Longport by 1916. Where did Longport's land go? Research done by our founder, Michael Cohen, shows that the Ocean City Gardens is built upon the former sands of Longport. The 1882 room in our museum focuses on the development of Longport, the families who first lived here, and the Church of the Redeemer. James Long, a prominent Philadelphia attorney, bought the tip of Absecon Island in 1857 when it was only about 8 blocks long. 25 years later, he sold it to M. Simpson McCullough with an additional mile of land that had been developed by the drifting sands from Atlantic City. McCullough, also a Philadelphia lawyer, businessman, and developer, bought the land from his friend for $150,000. He wanted to develop the scrub pine covered sand hills with an attractive family resort where both extravagance and frugalness would be avoided. In April of the following year, horse-drawn carriages delivered potential buyers to Longport. By the end of the day, 42 lots were sold for $500 apiece. Members of the Church of the Redeemer first met in their summer cottages, then at Aberdeen Hotel, and later in the town meeting hall. Built in 1908, the church was destroyed by fire in 2012. It was rebuilt with great care to duplicate both the original building and the stained glass windows. Because they had been stored in our museum for safekeeping and display, all church records and other artifacts were saved. The Fry family is the family that stands out in the development of Longport. When Mr. McCullough bought the land, there was only one existing building, a small house built by local fishermen somewhere near 3rd Street. The Fry family had moved in 1879 and later provided milk and eggs to the summer residents from the small farm. The 3 Fry sons were an important part of the town. John was a patrolman and first garbage collector. Jake headed the Longport Water and Sewer Department for over 50 years. Christian Fry, the youngest brother shown here, was Longport's first fire chief, but worked mainly as a general contractor. He also helped to build the first boardwalk. At age 95, he was able to recount many a tale of the early days of Longport for our records. Near the Fry family wall is displayed a 1908 homemade panoramic view of that original boardwalk, which Chris helped to build. Many family belongings of Longport founder M. Simpson McCullough are displayed in our 1882 room. How they ended up in our museum is quite a story. In the late 1980s, Our Historical Society founder, Michael Cohen, visited their granddaughter faithfully every Thursday night for 2 years. She recalled stories of her summers spent in Longport in the early 1900s and then decided to donate McCullough family Longport heirlooms to our society so that someday they would not end up in a garage sale. Her grandmother, Eleanor Bechtel Moore McCullough, was a young Quaker widow with 2 small children when she worked as matron of the Home for Orphaned Civil War Children in Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. It was here she met the head of the home's Board of Trustees, Bachelor M. Simpson McCullough. They married in 1882, the same year he bought the land in Longport. Ellen had many interests. As an avid amateur photographer, she had a makeshift darkroom in the attic of their home on 21st Avenue in the Beach. These family pictures are often featured in our annual Longport calendar. She also helped to establish the Church of the Redeemer. Samples of the items she made for the church summer bazaars are displayed here. Ellen was deeply interested in how science and religion could work together. A member of Longport's newly formed Academy of Natural Sciences, she collected, dried, and pressed many of the local seagrasses. Next to her wooden press are the framed seagrasses exhibited in the Women's Pavilion at the 1893 Columbian Exposition in Chicago. She was awarded this framed certificate and a bronze medal in science. A friend wrote that Ellen's husband is more proud of his wife than anything else on earth. He thinks that nothing is too good for her, and to him she never does anything wrong, which is a comfortable situation for a woman to live in, and Ellen thrives underneath it as any woman should. Graciana Lewis, Longport, 1899.